Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are completely flipping the script. Instead of just walking you through all the heavy theories, we're doing a full-on, gamified recap of strategic management. Consider this your ultimate knowledge check. I'm going to be stepping in as your supportive quizmaster today, and we'll be testing your real mastery of the core concepts we've explored from our business policy and strategy sources. So, are you ready? Here's our game board for today. First up, core strategy and environments. Next, frameworks and value chains. And finally, benchmarking and performance. Level 1, core strategy and environments. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is your very first challenge. Imagine a fast food giant, let's say McDonald's, deciding to completely switch gears and enter the kitchen equipment manufacturing industry over in China. Entering a totally new industry and a new geographic market is an example of what level of strategy. Is it A, business, B, functional, C, corporate, or D, international? Think about the hierarchy here. Go ahead and lock in your answer. Boom! If you chose C, corporate strategy, you absolutely nailed it. Now, what's really fascinating here is how this perfectly illustrates the difference between corporate and business strategy. You see, corporate strategy asks the huge, foundational question, what business or industries should we even be in to begin with? It sets the overall, high-level direction. Business strategy, on the other hand, well, that just deals with how you compete within a single, already chosen market. It's like figuring out how to outcompete Wendy's, right? Not how to suddenly start up a massive manufacturing plant. All right, moving right along to question 2. When a firm takes a really comprehensive look at both its own internal capabilities and the external forces acting upon it out there in the market, what is this foundational step formally called? Is it A, situation analysis, B, detailed analysis, C, internal analysis, or D, external analysis? Take a second to think about what encompasses the entire organizational picture. And a correct answer is A, situation analysis. You know, this actually lines perfectly with the classic SWOT analysis tool you might already be super familiar with. Options like internal or external analysis, those are actually incomplete distractors. They literally only give you half the picture. Situation analysis is that vital act of combining both of them to find a real strategic fit between what you do incredibly well internally and what the market demands externally. Okay, this next one builds directly on what we just talked about. Which specific environment consists of those totally uncontrollable macro and micro forces? We're talking about things like sudden economic shifts, massive new political regulations, or super aggressive competitor moves. Is it A, valuable, B, imitable, C, internal, or D, external? Lock it in. Yep, the answer is D, the external environment. Look, as a manager, you definitely have some degree of control over your internal environment, right? Your culture, your structure, your human resources. But the external environment, that is completely uncontrollable. It's like the weather. And that is exactly why strategic managers must constantly scan the horizon. Because if you don't adapt to these external macro and micro forces, your firm is going to get left in the dust. Level 2, frameworks and value chains. Huge congratulations, you've passed level 1. Let's move to and see how this builds into our next stage. Question 4. According to Michael Porter's famous matrix, what are the 4 core categorizations of generic competitive strategy? Read these options very, very carefully. Pay close attention to the specific wording of the distractors, especially when it comes to the words cost versus price. Do you have your answer? The correct choice is C, cost leadership, differentiation, focus differentiation, and cost focus. So the absolute crucial point here is that Porter emphasizes cost leadership, not simply low price. Price is really just the tag the customer ends up seeing, but cost relates to your internal operational efficiency. If you went with A, B, or D, you totally fell for the price leadership trap. All right, final question for level 2. Looking at Porter's value chain, how do we classify operational tasks like procurement, human resource management, and technology development? Are they A, primary activities, B, support activities, C, margin, or D, operations? Think about how these specific functions actually serve the rest of the business. Go ahead and stamp support activities as the correct answer. That's B. Primary activities are the really hands-on tasks, like physically creating the product, marketing it, and delivering it to the customer. Support activities like HR and IT, they don't build the product directly. Instead, they facilitate and enhance the efficiency of those primary activities. Basically, they're the vital backbone that keeps the front line moving smoothly. Level 3. Benchmarking and performance. Excellent work so far. You are now officially entering the final gauntlet. This is a rapid-fire round entirely focused on how we measure, compare, and ultimately evaluate strategic performance. Let's go. Question 6. The continuous, systematic process of measuring your own business processes and performance metrics against best-in-class practices is known as what? A. Analysis, B. Liquidation, C. Benchmarking, or D. Implementation. Lock it in quickly. It is C. Benchmarking. Now, while you are technically performing an analysis, that term is just way too broad here. And implementation is all about putting a strategy into action, not evaluating it. Benchmarking is the specific, targeted tool used to uncover real performance gaps so you can adopt world-class practices to lower your costs and boost your efficiency. Next up, question 7. Keep that rapid-fire energy going. Which specific type of benchmarking involves comparing your processes to best practices found absolutely anywhere, extending far, far outside your own industry? Is it A. Functional, B. Generic, C. Intentional, or D. Technical? The answer is B. Generic benchmarking. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how the most innovative companies draw universal inspiration. You don't just look at your direct competitors, right? You look at anyone, anywhere in the world, who performs a similar universal process, like, say, fulfilling a customer order better than you do. Functional benchmarking is kind of similar, but it usually focuses tightly on just one single department, like HR or IT. Let's combine some of these concepts for question 8. If you are looking strictly within your own organization to share best practices among different departments or different global locations, what is that called? And what is it called when you seek outside help? The options are A. External, B. Diagonal, C. Vertical, or D. Internal. Well, if you're looking inside, it's D. Internal. And if you're looking outside, it's A. External. Pretty straightforward, right? But it's super important to note that terms like vertical or diagonal are totally distractors here. In strategic management, those terms usually refer to supply chain integration, not standard classifications for benchmarking. All right, question 9. This is the tricky spot the fake challenge. Based on your strategy sources, which of the following is not a formally recognized type of benchmarking methodology? A. Performance, B. Process, C. Directional, or D. Strategic? Which one is the imposter here? And the imposter is C. Directional. Directional strategies absolutely exist, like the directional policy matrix, but it is definitely not a benchmarking type. Performance benchmarking compares metrics. Process benchmarking looks at those daily back-office operations, and strategic benchmarking examines huge, long-term, world-class competitive strategies. Okay, here we are, the final boss question of this explainer. When a company is truly failing, what is the absolute most extreme retrenchment strategy available to them? A. Concentric diversification. B. Liquidation. C. Unrelated integration. Or D. Divestiture. Take a second, lock in your final answer. The correct answer is B. Liquidation. This is the ultimate strategy of last resort, where a company completely dissolves and sells off its tangible assets, literally just for cash, no longer operating as a going concern at all. It's much more extreme than divestiture, which simply involves selling off one specific, unprofitable division just to try and save the rest of the company. It's a pretty sobering reality of strategic failure. So I want to leave you with this provocative final thought. What strategic choices are you making today, right now, to ensure your organization never reaches the extreme point of liquidation? Keep learning, keep strategizing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.